So we must do two things, two great things together, to encompass that enormous new view that lies before us, but to encompass it within the framework of science, to see it within the whole categorical framework of science, and to see that these two are not separate, but that they are wedded. The bigness of the idea, the newness of the idea, the greatness of it is one with the structure of science, the structure of being itself.
And the marginal heading is right motives. You see, she does and she doesn't. She doesn't explicitly answer the question, but she answers it in another way. So with a higher answer, with a general answer, she can give you the answer to all of those questions. Those 4 twos are really outside of the cybernetic round. You see, they are not going toward the goal, to God. They do not have God as the pure object of desire. And so they indicate the closedness within us. That which is going this way, toward equilibrium. Well, she says, then are we benefited by praying at all? Let's say the answer to this question of, do we pray to make ourselves better? If we don't pray to make ourselves better, if we can enlighten the infinite, if men don't see us being good, if we can't benefit those that hear us, is there any benefit of praying? Why pray at all? Are we benefited by praying? Is there any good in it? It's a spirit question. Yes. The desire which goes forth, what? Hungering after righteousness. There she gives the goal, she refines the goal. She says the goal must be the divine principle, the righteousness of the divine principle. And if you go toward that goal, if you pray to that goal with that purpose and that motive, this is blessed by Spirit. This is blessed of the Father. This is a prayer then that is in the cybernetic round of the divine principle. It's in the, to hunger after righteousness is already to be in the paths of righteousness. Oh, think of that the fourth beatitude. Yes. Yeah. So it's being in the paths of righteousness, in the categories. You're already moving in the categories of being. You're already lined up with the divine principle. And this is blessed by the divine principle. It's blessed of our Father. That divine principle, love, which is life, blesses us. And it does not return unto us void. You should hear a beautiful cybernetic statement, The returning, it goes out and it comes back. Does it come back empty, substanceless? No, it's filled. It's filled with the substance of Spirit. Yeah. Comes back to us as good. We are benefited. Good being the quality of God. So Spirit gives the direction to our desire. The direction and the nature, the pure nature of it. So we move from mind as spirit to mind as soul. And see that the true prayer within us requires the humility to change ourselves. She says, God. The moment I hear God, I hear divine principle, love, self-organizing principle. I don't just hear God with a kind of nebulous sense. But the divine self-organizing principle, divine science, is not moved by the breath of praise. A breath of praise to do more than he has already done. So we get that beautiful tone of divine science breaking in, that God is doing, but that doing is the being of what he is, that he always is what he is, and he can't be more than what he is, or do more than he has eternally done and been. Nor can the infinite do less. Cannot do more, cannot do less. Nothing's going to change to doing more or change to doing less. That we would think maybe he's changed to doing less than he should. Less than he has before. It's the whole question of deity being unchangeable. And that the infinite cannot do less than to bestow all good. My goodness, what is that all good? This week, to my sense, that all good is the whole cybernetic system. It's the bestowing of all good that we've been given. We are given the whole system of the model of being. This is the bestowing of all good. There cannot be anything else to get, to attain, to ask for. Since he is divine science, divine principle love, is unchanging wisdom and love, capital L, love. But she doesn't say but, I said but. We can do more. We can do more. God can't do more. We can do more for ourselves. How? What is the quality here now, the response to the unchangeability of soul, of this wisdom, of this intelligence, of this information principle that is soul, already knows all and is blessing us with what he knows, what the all-knowing knows, is unchangeable, and now we have a response to that unchangeability, namely our humility, the humility of our petitions, the humility of our prayer, that our petitions must be humble and fervent. Humble, fervent petitions. But the all-loving, what level is that? What is that? The all-loving divine science, the divine cybernetic principle, the self-organizing principle. But the all-loving does not grant them simply on the ground of lip service, just making the lips move and looking with the whole body like you are sincere and desiring. This does not make it. He already knows all. And knowing all, he knows the quality within you, if it is the quality of soul. Like knows like. And so soul knows that which is soul-like within us. That humility of subordinating the self, of going toward our principle, this is what will change us. So the subject moves from mind as soul to mind as principle. that such a prayer, what such a prayer? Have we had a prayer? What prayer? Such a prayer means you're talking about something, that you're referring to something. Huh? Such a prayer brings us into harmony with the science of being, is our epitome. So such a prayer is referring back to the prayer of mind, spirit, and soul, right? Can you hear that? So principle says, mind is spirit, mind is soul, brings you into harmony with the science of being. Prayer cannot change the science of being. Beautiful sense again of the divine science aspect of the unchangeability of the science of being, that prayer will not alter that, but it does do something. What does it do in respect to the science of being? It tends, wonderful term, if you're tending towards something, you're heading towards a goal, tending to bring us into harmony with it. The goal is coming into harmony. The goal is to come into harmony with the science of being. And prayer, through what we've seen as mind is spirit, mind is soul, is bringing us into harmony with the science of being. So we get the sense of principle focusing on a science of being, on our harmony with that science of being. And she says, goodness attains the demonstration of truth. What goodness would that be? We're going to train ourselves now in the categories of the prayer chapter. Goodness.
Isn't that always the price?
If you have to refer to the chapter, to what you have already had in the chapter, what would that goodness be? Refer to what you have.
Mind, spirit, and soul.
Mind, spirit, and soul. Huh? Mind is spirit, and mind is soul. This is the first touch of goodness. And it's attaining a demonstration. It has a demonstration. It already has the power of demonstration within itself, the demonstration of truth. A request that God will save us is not all that is required. So there we have the countering of goodness with just a request to be saved. And see, that's empty. It's not backed up with mind is spirit, mind is soul within us. The mere habit of pleading with the divine mind, as one pleads with a human being. So you have a human being in contrast to a divine principle. That you cannot plead with a divine principle. All that you can do to demonstrate, to gain the demonstration of a divine principle, is to align with it, to line up with it, to come into harmony with it. And so the habit of pleading with the divine mind perpetuates, I hear something cybernetic, but in this direction, in the direction of equilibrium, perpetuates the belief in God, in the divine principle, as humanly circumscribed. This belief will come up through the later subjects, especially in the subject, I think, of life and truth, also in principle. And we see then what we have to cope with if we don't get that straight in the beginning. What that perpetuates into the belief in God as humanly circumscribed. An error. Oh, here's an error. This is an error. You know, I love that term error now. I do, because of what we know about the homeostasis, of how it is corrected, that there is a system in place. The system is in place, that the homeostasis and the homeoraisa will work together to work out every error, to correct every error. So this error that God is humanly circumscribed is going to be corrected. And until it is corrected, or if it is not corrected, it impedes spiritual growth. But the system will correct it, will take care of it. Let's recap the first 4 subtones then. And in mind is mind, we had the desire, that thoughts unspoken are not unknown, that desire is prayer. This desire is actually the way we experience the influxing, the fluctuation from divine science and absolute Christian science. That influxing, that fluctuation stimulates us. It perturbs us. It causes there to be a change and a response in the system of consciousness. And so a new fluctuation comes in. And we're told that there is no loss from this fluctuation. Actually, every fluctuation is the same fluctuation. It's the divine nature breaking in on us. Will you remember that? That there is no other fluctuation but the divine nature breaking in on you? And that there is no loss from this fluctuation? No loss can occur? As you entertain it and welcome it. Entertain it and welcome it. What happens? It's actually going to be molded. It's a molding influence, this divine fluctuation. What are you going to do with it? If you think you can do something, how will you use it as the system is stimulated by it? Actually, you can't use that fluctuation, but it does something to you. It begins to change your goals, to spiritualize your goals, your tendencies, your direction, the direction of your life. It fluctuates you out and away from the near equilibrium state of consciousness, from entropic motives, from wrong motives, and toward the divine goal. So those tendencies to pray in order to inform the infinite, or to benefit ourselves, or to be heard of men, these are entropic motives that are being fluctuated by the information principle as it sets us in the direction of the spiritual. Actually, every fluctuation does that to some degree, is always setting us toward the spiritual, in the direction of the spiritual. And therefore, into that true motive of hungering and thirsting after righteousness. This is already blessed of the Father. Actually, what it is its own blessing, isn't it? To hunger after righteousness, to thirst after righteousness, is its own blessing. Is it not? Yeah. So it is blessed of the Father. It goes to the Father and returns from the Father, is never void, is just auto-catalyzing itself. Mind is soul. You don't know where this will take you. You don't know actually what it involves, what it will involve. So there is some uncertainty in it for you. It implies that you have to change, and this is only for the human mind a very uncertain feeling. But we know that we will be changed, that this is certain. The certainty is that we will be changed, and changed into the likeness of our principle. But it requires meekness and humility. What is asked for, what is raised up, is the meekness and the humility of soul within us. You know that. That's certain. You have that certainty from soul. And you have, along with that certainty, the certainty that you will be brought into harmony, that you are being brought into harmony with the science of being, with the self-organizing principle, which means that the system, the drive, the dynamic of the true prayer is already opening you up. It's showing you that the system will open up more and more and more until we come to the standpoint of life, mind as life.